Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come on here every single Wednesday and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. We're going to talk about Kyle Larson's races from this past week at Port Royal, Williams Grove, and Pocono a little bit later on. But first up, we'd like to welcome in our guest on today's show, D Suave, Derek Kessinger of DirtonDirt and FloRacing. Derek, welcome to the show, and how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal. Anytime that Larson super fans and podcasts can get me on the show and I can maybe bust his balls a little bit, I'm all for it. So I'm ready to go.
So, for those of you wondering, it's kind of a funny story how this all came about when we tweeted out our 2021 Best Driver SB poster for Kyle on Wednesday. Derek quote tweeted a picture of Brandon Overton and said that that's his 2021 Best Driver, and rightfully so. Brandon was definitely, in my opinion, the best dirt late model driver in the country last year. Um, so, Derek, I mean, had you heard of Larson Land before last week, or was it your first time seeing us?
Oh no, I've seen you guys a few times. Like now Twitter has all those algorithms, so you
Uh
can see
huh.
stuff that people like or retweet. So I'll see Larson Land, and I think you guys have liked some tweets in the past before. But kudos to you guys. You love seeing guys that because I'm in media, so doing podcasts and stuff like that is very important for the sport. And if you pick a guy like Kyle, who's obviously racing all genres, which I think's been very huge in the motorsports industry, especially since 2020 when he started racing dirt more and more. And I think it's a good thing that we're combining asphalt or NASCAR, I should say, pavement to dirt. So I think it's been very good. And he's definitely been one of the ambassadors in the sport to make that happen. Because I felt like maybe 3 or 4 years ago there was like a big disconnect between both dirt and
Right.
NASCAR. Now people tune in because you even have Larson Racing, Chase Briscoe, he's dabbling a little bit, and Alex Bowman and a few other guys. So it's pretty neat that you guys are doing this. It's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And we know you're a late model guy, but I have to ask, who is your favorite late model sprint car and NASCAR driver? And why is all three Kyle Larson?
Okay, first off, Kyle Larson. I know last year I had to find my tweet because I was always with Dirt on Dirt late models all the time until Flo bought us out. So I would see sprint cars and know a little bit. I was like, okay, who am I going to cheer for? So I decided to cheer for Lance DeWeese, and I think he won the other night. So he's a
Yes.
stud. He can get her done. So when he won, I had to quote retweet from things in 2021 and say, hey, see, I told you this is my guy. So I would say him just for the pure fact I just randomly picked a guy. I like Donnie Schatz too because everybody hates him. So every time I go to the Knoxville Nationals, I'm just going to wear shot stuff just to get everybody wild up a little bit. I like Kevin Harvick in NASCAR is my favorite only because I was a huge Dale Earnhardt fan. He was the first guy to replace him in the Goodwrench car. So Harvick, ever since I've always liked him. And then he had a great 2020. The last couple of years, he's obviously hasn't been very good. Kind of stinks a little bit, but maybe he can get a win or two and get in the playoff and just on a pure miracle. And then late models, Kevin Weaver, just a local guy that I've always cheered for. And then if I'm going a national guy like Brandon Shepard, I always give crap to Larson saying, this is the guy that's faster than you all the time. And then his first time out at Port Royal, he beat Sheppy. So that was a shot in the heart for me a little bit in 2020.
So that's pretty cool. Do you watch a lot of other genres of racing, or do you mainly just watch the late model stuff? I mean, I know you're probably busy with the late model stuff all the time.
I will sit down on Sundays and watch the NASCAR races for sure. I think this year especially, it's just so much parity, which I think it's good. Seeing different winners, I think at least because I'm 33, I just turned 33 today. I think
Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you. For 15 years, it was just Jimmy Johnson, or Jeff Gordon. Then you sprinkle in maybe Tony Stewart won the championship, but it was just Jimmy Johnson. So I think the sport got a little bit saturated a little bit. Now I all these different winners, all these young guys coming up. I think it's been pretty cool. So I've enjoyed watching it. I feel like there's more drama. I think NASCAR's embracing it a little more too. So that's always great to see. Yeah, I watch sprint cars on FloRacing all the time. But if there's a late model race, I will definitely tune into that first. So don't edit this out and saying, oh, he's a sprint car guy and NASCAR. I'll for sure watch late model races
we
first.
we're probably holding you off from watching heat races at Boone, aren't we?
I watched the first one, Tyler Bruning one, which is a home state drive money out there.
So, as far as myself, I've been pretty much around dirt late model racing my whole life. My uncle David Hill, he used to race late models at Delaware International Speedway. So when I was little, I was always helping on the car there and doing that stuff
There you go.
every Saturday night. Dylan's kind of new to the dirt racing and dirt late model stuff. But I know he's kind of caught the bug over the past year, and he's loving it. But I mean, how did you kind of get your feet wet in dirt late model racing and racing as a whole?
Oh, just growing up, my dad always went to the races. My great uncle and great aunt owned Snooky Dame's race car, Dave's Tire and Alignment, which, by the way, he was the first ever Prairie Dirt Classic winner. So my dad's been around it his whole life.
Oh
I think
wow.
he started taking me to Fairbury when I was like 1 or 2. As a crew guy, he was. So then I was like 1 or 2, and I would always go to the races. He like kind of stopped being in the crew and kind of just sit in the stand with me, which I thought was pretty awesome. And then he started taking me to the other races. And I went to Eldora for the World 100 in 1999 when I was 10 for the first time. I'd always be playing with race cars. I was just like addicted to it. And then went to college to be a journalism major. And I think junior year, which is a funny story, I actually got busted at a party for having a kegger, and I got like a $750 drinking ticket. I was like, well, I need to like figure something out here a little bit. So then I contacted Rigsby. I don't know, I was probably like a little buzz. I like emailed him like saying all my stuff. Like I've been like he knew who I was because I would always talk to him at the races because I was just that type of guy. So I was like, hey, I'm a journalism major at ISU, which he went to. I'm like, if you need any help. And it was kind of like when DOD 3 or 4 years after it started was kind of like catching ground. He's like, I can't do this all by myself. So then I got a job there, and I've pretty much been working in the industry and dirt racing since 2011 when I got my internship. And then when I graduated Illinois State University here in Bloomington Normal, just started working full time there, which is it's been a good blessing. And then Flo bought us out, and now we're the #1 vertical at Flo. So it's pretty sweet that racing, we've kind of taken it by storm here the last couple of years.
So is that why Prairie Dirt Classic so special? You kind of grew up in that area and was surrounded by it.
Oh yeah, I grew up 2 blocks away for the most part. So like every Saturday night, Mom would drop us off because my parents split up when I was like 6 or 7. So then we were like 10 or 11. You could like get into the races free if you're with a paying adult. Well, my mom knew like the front worker, so she would just drop us off at like when we were like 11 or 12, and we would say we were under 12 still, and they would just let us in. So we did a whole bunch of shenanigans and stuff like that. So yeah, the Prairie Dirt Classic's been awesome. It used to be just a Labor Day weekend event, but then it's like grown here since like 2013, and this weekend should be another spectacular racing. And I don't know, Larson just shows up last year and beats all our late models' butts. So he says he hasn't been racing the late model enough.
Yeah,
He doesn't think he's gonna, but he says that all the time. So
yeah. I mean,
he's like, I don't think
last time he was in the late model was on June 3rd. So
Yeah,
he's kind of been a sprint car guy for the past 2 months. I don't know. That's what I kind of wanted to ask you. What do you think, Kyle? I mean, we haven't seen anything 100% confirming he's going to be there, but I assume he's going to be there, isn't he?
Yes, according to my sources, as like the people on ESPN would say, like Adam Schefter.
So you're the Adam
he will be-
Schefter of Dirt on Dirt.
Oh, I don't confirm something like prematurely. So
Right.
no, as all accounts is he will be there defending his crown. I talked to Kevin and Jacqueline Rumley, the car owner. They're planning on bringing it. So I know they're going to be at Indy this weekend, but luckily they're on the Eastern time zone, so he can get back and forth, I think, pretty easily. It's only like a 2.5-hour drive if you kind of speed a little bit. So I think he'll be dialed in, and I'm guessing he's hoping he's going to make the show on Friday, so then he doesn't have to be there until like late on Saturday. Like the feature probably won't start until 10 p.m. So
Right.
I think if think everything's good to go, the weather's supposed to be nice, so I think he'll be there. I hope.
Yeah.
Last year he had an off weekend. I know he had fun there. So
Right.
this weekend he has to be like all business with both races.
Well, he's like that every weekend. I feel like.
Yeah, but last year he had it like they were off.
Yeah.
Like NASCAR had way more off weekends, so
Oh
he
yeah.
like he hang loose a little bit. But like you said, he hasn't been racing the late model once. Did he race the late model at all in 2020? He just showed up and like looked fast. So I think he'll be okay. Every time he unloads that thing, he's always a top 5 car, no matter what. Usually, unless like some mechanical failure. And at the Eldora, he says that's his like. Like he struggles there, and it's just like I know. It's just he said it's so crazy when they get behind like the cars and just like just the air takes off of it. He's not used to that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he won one of those races here in the next couple of years if he keeps competing in it. But he'll definitely be a threat this weekend. He loves Fairbury.
And he won the flow
Yep.
race at Eldora. That was a little bit different track that night, but
Oh yeah, he raves about those rough and tumble tracks. So
it was a cowboy up Larson kind of track. It was definitely his style that night.
he was damn good. I think if that thing would have been like a 50 or a 100 lap race, he might have lapped the field. He was that good.
Yeah. So
Did you see him as a contender last year going to Prairie Dirt, or did you kind of underestimate him going into it?
Well, I like to bust his balls. So I was like, you ain't gonna win this, yada yada yada. And then he even said it in his interview afterwards. But I was like, after the race on Friday, I'm like, you were okay. You weren't that great. I think he ended up like getting third in his prelim features they had. So he started like 8th or 9th. And like no one's really talking about him because you like Brandon Shepard, he's always good there. Bobby Pierce is up front. Those two guys are always heavy hitters at the Lane of Lincoln track. So you really weren't thinking because he didn't look that good Friday. But then like the first 10 laps, he passed cars right through that middle where like it was just like nice little traction for him. Like this guy has a chance to win. He took the lead. And he had to use the Jumbotron to win. He even like said that too. I'm like, jeepers, what is this guy? Like he just like no one else would ever think of that except for him. That's the best part about it. So I commend him for doing that, and he even admitted about it in Victory Lane. He's like, yeah, I looked at the video board. I could see Pierce was going up top there, so then I changed my line a little bit. So yeah, but he's always a threat no matter where he goes. But I was like, that first sign after watching, I'm like, it's going to be very tough for him to win because prior to that, like Portsmouth, he raced there at the dirt track when he was behind cars. Charlotte, when he's behind cars, he just couldn't get that momentum and try to stay in the lines without getting that push with the air. But Fairbury's a lot smaller track, and he figured it out. And I think he's won a sprint car race there, so he's had plenty of laps, and he likes that place. So it definitely fits his driving style for sure. I feel like it's a California track for him.
Oh yeah. So obviously we're gonna talk a little bit about the purse for this weekend. Kind of cool with the $500 per lap, the lap money, and on top of the 50,000 to win. It just, I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people about it that watch dirt late model racing. It just seems like every single race now is the money just is going through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, I think streaming has to do with it. I think promoters get that stream money, and they're like, okay, we can add on to this, but this is all because of the fans. They did like a 50-50 type thing. They had 100 squares. I mean, they had 100 squares at $500 a piece. I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
100 squares, something like that. It was like $500 a piece. They got it up to $100,000 total. $50,000 is going to a fan on a random draw. So basically, you're paying $500 to win $50,000, and the other $50,000 goes to the $500 per lap. So that thing like sold out in like 20 minutes. Like I remember talking to the Fairbury people because I'm on the race board over there. Like, do you think this is going to work? I'm like, yes, it's going to work. These fans love to gamble. They love racing, and they're like putting it back in with the race car drivers. So I'm like, this is definitely going to work. We could have easily done $1,000 a ticket, no doubt, and people would have, bought it, and that would have been, $200,000, I think, into the pot. So yeah, it's a very unique thing. I think it's going to have drivers like maybe think about what they're going to do early, because like sometimes in those prelims you might have like a middle tier guy that won a heat race. He's starting in the front row, and maybe he knows like, okay, I might not have the car at the end to win. I'm just going to go balls deep for 50 laps and try to make $25,000 quick. I mean, who knows? But I think if it's like a lot of good contenders there, they're going to be duking it out and throwing sliders. So I think it'll definitely make the feature racing good, but I also think it'll make those prelim night features good because you want to get first or second to try to get into the lap money.
Right. All right. So before we wrap up with you, Derek here, first I'll ask Dylan who his pick is to win on Saturday night, and then after that, Derek, give us your pick, and maybe a dark horse too.
I mean, obviously I have to go with Kyle Larson, but if I'm not going with Larson, I probably have to go with Brandon Shepard. He won 2 Prairie Dirt Classics in the past, and then that other event, I think it's the one for the road, the 15K event. He won 2 of those, so he's been really strong there at Fairbury. So if it's not Larson, I'm going to go with Shepard.
All right, Derek.
You hear that, Kyle Larson? If you listen, your boys are picking, Sheppy. I got him. I switched him to the dark side. No, he loves Brandon too, so that's a great pick. compared that Bobby Pierce is like Dale Earnhardt with a Daytona 500. He's had so much heartbreak at this track. He got slid by Brandon Shepherd on in 2019. 2013, when he was like a little 16-year-old kid, he was on his way to win, and then he complains about the tires getting moved out in the yellows by the track crew, stuff like this. He's gave him the middle finger to Kyle Bronson at the Prairie Dirt. He's came from last in a non-qualifier race and won it to go into the feature. He's won several races there. I just think Bobby Pierce, this is his time to shine. I think in May when he won that 30 grand over Sheppy, the track was slick to a cushion. Him and Brandon were the only two guys that could run that cushion and get that extra speed. I always call it like a mushroom, like in Mario Kart when you hit it. You hit it right, you get a freaking boost of speed there. But I think it's going to be Bobby Pierce. Now, I mean, my heart will say like Kevin Weaver or Sheppy or Brandon Babb, but I think Pierce will win this year.
Okay. All right, and I'm not even gonna give a pick. You know, I think everybody knows who I am gonna pick to win. So there's not even any reason in saying it.
You got to give us someone else.
I don't know. I don't really have anybody else. I can't go against Larson. We had this during Sprint Week. I bought a Brent. I don't know if you know Brent Marks. Obviously, he just won the King's Royal and all that. And
pretty good, right?
And during Sprint Week, I bought a Brent Marks T-shirt, and it seems like since I bought that T-shirt that night, he has just won everything and beat Kyle and everything. So I'm not going against Kyle Larson anymore, doing anything that could jinx him.
Yeah, he went and bought it right before the feature, and then ever since then he's just been on an absolute tear. So
come on, you can't be doing that.
I got the Larson shirt on tonight. That's all that matters.
At least you got a late model one on, so I respect that, and I'm glad that you grew up in late models too. That makes me feel good because a lot of those guys up in that area, depends where you're at, you know. Because if you're in Eastern PA, you're all about sprint, so you're close. I mean, but you're on the opposite side, so you're a sprint car guy. You're close to Delaware, which, you know, I've been to that track a few times, so.
Yeah, so my uncle's actually he's the winningest driver in track history there in a late model, so kind of cool.
Nice,
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty legit. Yeah, Larson will be tough to beat. I think he claims that he won't be good because he hasn't been racing in it, but that's just how he always is, which isn't a bad thing. He's not like cocky or anything, but he always says, I'm not going to be very good, blah blah blah, and then he like sets fast time. And you're like, okay, yeah, looks like it's been a struggle for you, man.
I mean, shoot, he won his second ever late model race, so I mean, you can't really say it'll be too rusty.
One thing though, people get so mad at me is our Dirt on Dirt top 25. They can't believe that Kyle Larson's like still in it. I'm like, every time he unloads, he gets top 3. Look at his stats; it's ridiculous. And I'm like, my voting is it's obviously what they've done recent. But I'm like, if we're having a race tonight, where will Kyle Larson finish? He's going to finish ahead of a lot of those guys. So that's what I defend. Yeah, maybe he hasn't done recent stuff, but that's like the one complaint we get with the late model people, especially like the drivers and the drivers' wives. They get mad about where we always put Kyle Larson.
That's funny.
I think I voted him like 25th this week. I think I just put him at 25 when he doesn't race much, but it is what it is. He'll have a good time, and I know he has a busy weekend, and I'm just glad he's going to be able to be part of a race that means so special to my heart and just so special to the heart of people in Illinois because it's a big race, $50,000 on the line, potential $100 grand. So glad he's going to be a part of it. I know that like we're not going to have Chris Madden and Brandon Overton, so it's a few of the big time heavy hitters. But when you can get the 6 Rumley car there, it could kind of add more pop back into it.
Oh yeah, we'll have to try and get out there next year.
Oh, you guys will have a blast. That thing is, I mean, people I bring from like college that's never been to a race, just like friends and family that's never really came, like new drivers when we like get them out there with like tow money and stuff like that. They don't believe it until they see it and then they just get hooked. It's just like, I know there's like no phone service, so I feel like you're back in like the 90s a little bit. You don't know like what's going on. It's kind of hard to explain. I have more fun there than I do at Eldora. Obviously Eldora is like the king for dirt tracks, but that weekend is just, it's like the magnitude's so high, I feel like, and everybody's just like so congested because it's such a tiny little area. And it's always a great time. And then if you have like a good guy like Sheppy winning or Kyle Larson or when JD won the last lap in 2015, like when the guy like that wins and you know he's going to mingle with the crowd afterwards, it like makes it even better.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Looking forward to it this weekend. It's going to be a great time, I think. I hope.
Oh,
the weather looks great. That's all that's the first thing we need.
Yeah, always need the weather. That's definitely the first thing. But Dylan, did you have anything else?
No, that should pretty much wrap it up. Just want to thank you again for coming on, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Problem.
thanks.
If you guys need any anti, Larson slander, I'm your guy. So if you want to get a hold of me and like, hey, we're too much. I know it's a Larson podcast, but you need sometimes a little like other side of the story a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. You can't. I mean, people want like the truth sometimes. You can't win everything, guys.
Yeah, we always try and be like overly positive about everything, and I feel like that
Good.
gets us
I
a
get.
little bit. But I think it's important to keep it positive
You
because
guys get
there's
like DMs or like, do you guys get DMs or comments where they're like, "Oh, you Larson lovers," blah blah blah, or like, or people just like just so like feel like it's a Larson podcast, they get it. Because like sometimes I'll get DMs saying like, "Oh, you love Larson," blah blah blah, like all that stuff. But it is what it is.
oh, we get tons of DMs and messages and stuff all the time. Even the thing about the one I think's the craziest is the Larson fans that when he doesn't run good, they message us and they're griping about him not being good anymore, and I'm like, come on, guys, like he won the NASCAR championship last year. He's already
Well, it's just
won
like
11 races this year. It's like, what do you want? What else do you want?
it's like when like Kevin Harvick won like what 9 races in 2020. He hasn't won like he didn't win last year. He hasn't won this year. It's just like that's the peaks and valleys of racing.
Right.
Like Brandon Shepherd in 2019 and 20 won everything. Now he's still winning, but he's not like at the magnitude of like what Madden and JD are doing. So just the peaks and valleys. They'll all be back. They'll all hit their stride eventually. So he's just waiting for the right time. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is show up for the final weeks of NASCAR.
I know, I know. He's already got his win, so he's in the playoffs pretty much. So, yeah.
Sure. Which will be crazy is if we get like 17 different winners and then like one person's eliminated. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody's waiting to see if that happens. So there's five races left, and there's 2 spots without a winner right now. So
Yeah,
could
that's wild.
happen,
I
but
could, but I mean, because like one's probably a road course, right? In Indy,
there's
I mean,
there's 2 road
course.
courses. Yeah, there's Indy and Watkins Glen, and then the last one's Daytona. So anybody can win there.
Yeah, anybody can win that one.
Yeah. So we got
Hopefully
3.
Harvick gets that one then.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll root for Harvick for you
Perfect.
to
Thank
get
you.
a win.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, so thanks for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it, and hope you have a great time this weekend cheering on Kyle for us, and tell him to hop on the podcast sometime.
Oh, I will. I'll try to get him going this weekend. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, so now let's dive into some of Kyle Larson's racing from this past week. Things got kicked off on Wednesday night at the Port Royal Speedway. Kyle Larson started on the pole that race, led every single lap. We were just waiting for something to go wrong. It seems like this year every time Kyle's been in the lead, something bad's happened. But so dominant there at Port Royal, dried out track. It was hot. Really wish we went to that one, Dylan.
Yeah, I definitely regret not going to that one. We're still waiting on the Larson win in person. Still have yet to see that, but yeah, he dominated the race. He won the dash, started on the pole. He did really well in lap traffic, so that helped him, get the win that night. But yeah, just I love Port Royal. It's a great track, and really hope to make it out there one day.
For sure, it's an awesome track out there at Port Royal. I'm definitely trying to get out there before the end of the season. Maybe not to watch Kyle, but just to watch any race in there at Port Royal. It's always a good show. Then on Thursday night, things continued on with Kyle Larson. Like we said earlier, he went out there to Linda Speedway up in Pennsylvania and beat up on some kids in micros, as everyone on Twitter and Facebook wanted to say. Kind of a last minute deal. I mean, it kind of caught us by surprise. We weren't expecting Kyle to run that deal. I don't even think he was expecting to run that deal. I think he called up the car owner last minute and asked if he had a ride. And of course, anybody's going to let Kyle Larson drive their car regardless of what it is. I mean, when I was up in Bridgeport, it was a guy standing next to Kyle that was asking Kyle to drive his street stock that night. Kyle declined, but I mean, everybody wants Kyle Larson in their car, don't they?
I mean, it's not a bad option to put him in the seat, but yeah, just a lot of memes and stuff on Twitter going around him beating up on the kids. Lance DeWeese posted that picture of him making the mocking crying face, so that was pretty funny. We used that in the race results, but yeah, big nice win for him in the micro. It seems like every time he gets in the micro, he wins. He's on what, like a 2 win streak in the micro, so nice to see him in that.
Oh yeah. Anytime you can go beat up on some kids. I think there was 80. I mean, I, obviously a lot of younger guys in the micros there, but I mean, anytime you go and race against 86 other guys and pick up the win, that's a pretty big accomplishment. So, big one there for Kyle. I mean, picked up the $1,000 payday, and to anybody that is mad about Kyle running that race, he didn't take the $1,000 after the race. He gave it all to the crew on that car. So Kyle's not so bad of a guy after all. Um, Later on in the week, we didn't go to Williams Grove on Friday, but Kyle finished ninth on the first night there at the Summer National or the Summer Nationals there at Williams Grove, and um, we went there Saturday night, Dylan, and not the result we really wanted to see on Saturday night. Kyle ended up finishing last in the feature after getting involved in an incident, but man, it was just such an awesome time on Saturday night. One of my favorite races of the year. Not necessarily, with the product of racing on the track, but just because of how many people came up to us and recognized us from Larsonland and said hello, and we had so many awesome conversations with the fans.
Yeah, it's tough there at the Grove. There's not too much passing. You kind of gotta qualify very good and at least make the dash to kind of have a chance to win that night. But yeah, we had a lot of great conversations with everyone. Had a 25-minute conversation with someone he didn't know about Larson Land, but just nice friendly conversations. We had, like you said, just a ton of people come up to us. We wear the Larsland shirt, so a lot of recognition, and we really like talking to everyone. It makes the experience that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and I saw on Twitter earlier somebody tweeted that there's no strangers in racing. There's only friends that you haven't met yet, and I think there's not a truer thing that could be said about dirt track racing and racing as a whole. Because man, it just seems like anytime you talk to somebody, you can click off with them and just talk about anything. So awesome time there at the Grove. Obviously, rain delayed race. Kyle started 10th in the feature and ran there most of the time before getting caught up in his incident. Damage didn't seem terminal on the car, but really, in my opinion, I don't think there was much point of him going back out there the way the track was. It was really hard to pass, like you said, and not too bad. Brad Sweet picked up the win and his first win at Williams Grove after a ton of starts. So congratulations to him. And I mean, I knew Brad was going to get another win this season. It seems like he's just been knocking on the door, and obviously the points leader. But crazy that it's only his second win of the season this far in.
Yeah, we've been talking about that before. It's just crazy how he only had one win prior to this, and he's just been sitting comfortable as the points leader. So, he just strings together those good performances, and it keeps him up there. But yeah, nice to see him get the win. If Larson can't get it, obviously it's his brother-in-law, so there's some connection there. Kind of rooting him on. But yeah, we overall just great night at the Grove. We get to talk to Kyle a little bit about Larson Land. He said that he's seen our stuff here and there. So pretty cool to get some recognition and, you know, yeah, just nice talking to him and a great night.
Absolutely. And then, after Williams Grove on Saturday night, it was right back over to Pocono for the Cup race on Sunday. Kyle looked like stage one. He picked up the win in stage one and looked like he had a car capable of winning early on in clean air, but I think just strategy and the cautions fell at the wrong time, and Kyle got stuck back in traffic towards the middle part of that race and really wasn't able to find his way back up through the pack for the rest of the day. Kyle was credited with a fifth place finish despite crossing the line in seventh due to the disqualifications of Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, the first and second place cars. Dylan, this is crazy stuff. I mean, completely unprecedented in NASCAR. I mean, we haven't seen a Cup Series winner be disqualified in over 60 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, Hamlin and Busch were disqualified, making Elliott the winner. Like you said, Larson finished 5, but just recently, Joe Gibbs gave us a in-depth response to what happened. It was actually a single piece of clear tape that was over each of the lower corners of the front splitter, and the pieces of tape were actually under the wrap, and they were about 2 inches wide, and I think it was 5.5 inches long. And yeah, that's what disqualified him. And it's kind of crazy. Like it kind of begs the question: is it a little bit extreme? Would it make that much of a difference in the performance of the car? And But the only like kind of odd thing I would say is it's installed under the wrap, so it's hard to tell whether or not it was, an intentional situation. And then you could also look at the other Joe Gibbs racing guys. I mean, Truex and Bell. I think Bell was putting up similar times to Hamlin and Busch. So, I mean, who knows if it happened with all the JGR cars? I think it was only, kind of looked at more extreme with Hamlin and Busch because they finished 1 and 2. But yeah, it's just crazy situation. That's the first DQ since 1960. Like you said, it's been a long time since the winner's been disqualified.
Yeah, and that was kind of my question, like you said about Truex and Bell, whether those cars had the same thing or not, because you would think if it's all like the Joe Gibbs cars, all four of them would probably have the same thing, but I mean, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get word on that later on, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that it was only two of the four cars that had that issue. So as far as this week goes for Kyle Larson, you just heard it here on the podcast. Kyle Larson is confirmed per Derek Kessinger that he is going to be at the Prairie Dirt Classic this Friday and Saturday night. There at the Fairbury Speedway, and then obviously the NASCAR race on Sunday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Practice and qualifying is on Saturday morning for that event, so he'll be able to practice and qualify in the morning, and then head down to Illinois for the race for the Prairie Dirt Classic on Saturday night. Looking ahead to the rest of the week for Kyle, we do have confirmed right now the pavement midget race on Monday night at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. That's going to be a very interesting one to watch. We talked about that a couple weeks ago on the show, and so far we haven't heard any official word on the BC39 on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Nothing's really been announced yet. There has been some prelim entries that have came out, but nothing with Kyle Larson on it yet. So stay tuned to all of our social medias just to we'll keep you updated if we hear anything on the BC39.
Yeah, definitely. Stay up to date with the Twitter, post notifications on. Twitter's probably turned into, kind of our most active social media. I mean, I'm really liking it. You can kind of interact with everyone a lot easier. It's easy to just say something if you need to say it. So, yeah, once again, thanks to Derek for coming on the pod. It was nice talking to him. We look forward to, potentially having him on the pod another time. And thanks for kind of confirming Fairbury for us. We were kind of already, about 95% sure that he was going to run it, but nice to hear someone in contact with Kyle actually confirming it.
Absolutely. So, thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to the show today. Definitely a big one here with, if you notice, the webcams on and Derek Kessinger on the show. Big one, but we'll be back again next week to recap all the racing from Indianapolis as well as the Prairie Dirt Classic. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe to the podcast so you do not miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and enjoy the on-track action over the next week. We will see you in the next episode.